Well guys, let's go to animate the first row of forks and knives. At first we select the first forks and knives and create keyframes for all location and rotations in frame 100. So after that we make sure that the auto keyframe is on, and then in the frame 120 we move the forks and knives to the left between glass and plate and create a keyframe, then by pressing the R key rotate it 90 degrees in the Z direction. Then we look at the scene from the front view by pressing the numpad 1, and we also place the playhead on frame 140, and then we move forks and knives to the downwards by pressing the G and Z keys as far as on the table, and by pressing the shift and Z keys we activate the wireframe mode and move the forks and knives a little to the right in the X direction, then create a keyframe for it to fix their location and rotation. After that we select the second row forks and knives and create keyframes for all locations and rotation in frame 100. So after that we make sure that the auto keyframe is on, and then in frame 120 we move the forks and knives to the left between glass and plate and create a keyframe, and by pressing the R key rotate it 90 degrees in the Z direction. Therefore for better animation we put knives and forks in the middle of the table in frame 110. We create keyframes for them. Then we look at this scene from the front view by pressing the numpad 1, and we also place the playhead on frame 140, and then we move forks and knives to the downwards by pressing the G and Z keys as far as on the table, and move the forks and knives a little to the right in the X direction, then create a keyframe for it to fix their location and rotation. The next row is the third, which we must place on the table in the opposite direction. So we select the third row of forks and knives and create keyframes for all locations and rotations in frame 100. So after that we make sure that the auto keyframe is on, and then in frame 110 we move the forks and knife to the below to the middle around of the table. Then in frame 120 we move forks and knives in front of spoons and chopsticks, and in frame 130 we move them to the left side of the plate, and finally we place the playhead on frame 140, and we move them between chopsticks and plate and create a keyframe. Then by pressing the R key, rotate it 180 degrees in the Z direction, and we look at the scene from the right view by pressing the numpad 3. We move forks and knives to the downwards by pressing the G and Z keys as far as on the table, and create a keyframe for it to fix their location and rotation. So then we select the forks and knives row and create a keyframe for all locations and rotations in frame 100. So after that we make sure that auto keyframe is on, and then in frame 120 we move the forks and knives to the right middle below table. We also place the playhead on frame 140. Then we move the forks and knives between glass and plate and create a keyframe. Then by pressing the R key, rotate it minus 90 degrees in the Z direction. Then we look at the scene from the front view by pressing the numpad 1, and then we move forks and knives to the downwards by pressing the G and Z keys as far as on the table. Then create a keyframe for it to fix their location and rotation. After that we select the fifth forks and knives row and create keyframes for all locations and rotations in frame 100. So after that we make sure that the auto keyframe is on, and then in frame 120 we move the forks and knives to the right between glass and plate and create a keyframe. Then by pressing the R key, rotate it minus 90 degrees in the Z direction. Then we look at the scene from the front view by pressing the numpad 1, and we also place the playhead on frame 140, and then we move forks and knives to the downward by pressing the G and Z keys as far as on the table, and move it the forks and knives a little to the right in the X direction. Then create a keyframe for it to fix their location and rotation. Finally, we select the sixth row of forks and knives and create keyframes for all locations and rotations in frame 100. And then in frame 120 we move the forks and knives to the above to the middle of the table. Then we move the forks and knives between glass and plate and create a keyframe. Then we look at the scene from the right view by pressing the numpad 3, and we also place the playhead on frame 140, and then we move forks and knives to the downwards by pressing the G and Z keys as far as on the table, and create a keyframe for it to fix their location and rotation. Well, now only we have not animated the salts and peppers, For this reason, we first select all the objects that have been animated and select all keyframes from the timeline section and move them by 20 frames by dragging in the timeline, so we fit and place them on frame 40. Then we select the salts and peppers and create a keyframe for them in frame 20 and place the playhead on frame 30 and bring them up to the edge of the holder, and then place the playhead on frame 40 and we put them to the back, and by pressing the G and Z keys we bring them down and place them on the table, and then we place them on the table in the form of the word M. After placing the objects on the table, we want to start animating them. So starting with the salt and pepper, first we select the salts and peppers and place the playhead on frame 180 and create keyframes for all of them in all locations and rotations. And as you can see, an orange line has been created for all of them, which is the reason it is the absence of any movement or rotation or scale. So we choose one of them and place the playhead on frame 190 and move some object, and also then place the playhead on frame 200 and move the object to another place that you can according to your taste and desired scenario change the direction yourself. As you can see, we can create beautiful animations by selecting objects separately and with a distance of 10 frames and moving them in different places and positions and creating keyframes. Of course, at the end of the work, we can also create a better appearance by making corrections in the movement or increasing or decreasing the keyframe. So keep in mind that this lecture was for elementary animation, and then you can master the animation of the rest of the objects to complete this course alone.